Okay, so let's look now at Pied Beauty by Gerald Manley Hopkins. Glory be to God for dappled things, for skies of couple colour as a brinded cow, for rose moles all in stipple upon a trout that swim, fresh fire-coal chestnut falls, finches' wings, landscape plotted and pieced, fold, fallow and plough, and all trades, their gear and tackle and trim. All things counter, original, spare, strange, whatever is fickle, freckled, who knows how, with swift, slow, sweet, sour, a-dazzle, dim. He fathers forth, whose beauty is past change. Praise him. Okay, so what we have here is a poem by a deeply religious man, a man who trained as a priest and who had a tremendous knowledge of God and the Bible and a tremendous passion for his faith. And it very much comes through his poetry. What we have here is we have a poem about beauty. We have a poem about the beauty of dappled things, of things that are many colours. Both pied and dappled mean similar things. They're both linked to different coloured, shaded. In the way that we'd have dappled shade or a pied horse. That both pied and dappled mean things that are of different colour or different shade. So what we have here is we have a song to nature, and a song in praise of God and what God has done. And I think he does it rather well. So let's go through the poem section by section and see if we can pull it apart and try and make a little bit more sense of it. So let's look at the first line. Glory be to God for dappled things. And we have that pause at the end, which is indicated by the dash. What we're going to have is we're going to have a list that follows. We're going to have Manley Hopkins going through the things that he is praising God for. And we can see that from the second and the third line, that repetition of for, and that says that he's praising the Lord for these things. So let's have a look. For skies of couple colour as a brinded cow. Now, for many people who, when they first read this poem, one of the first things you'll think of is, what does he mean? And that's a very normal reaction, because actually what Manley Hopkins does, he often makes words up if a word isn't there in his vocabulary. So this word here, brinded, this is a made-up word. He's coined this word. It's what we call a neologism. Neologism. A new word. So he's coined this new word, brinded, which is an interesting word. Kind of reminds me of brindled, I suppose. When I first read this poem, I thought it was a misprint. But he's decided that brinded is the word that he wanted to use, again linking into this idea of things being pied, things being dappled, things being many different colours, and there's the link there, couple colour, so more than one colour, having two different colours. I'm assuming he's talking about a black and white Frisian cow, but of course he's actually using a simile, because it's skies that he's talking about. Oops, sorry about that. So we've got the sky having in two colours. Essentially what he's saying is the sky looks like it's two colours, a bit like a Frisian cow has two colours. And you can kind of see, can't you, if you imagine clouds in a blue sky, it does have a similar, I might maybe just, here's my cow. Yeah, my drawing is absolutely rubbish. There's my cow, look. And you can imagine, the cow has, there we go. Just in case you weren't sure whether it was a cow or not. That really is terrible, isn't it? Gives moves. I'll get back onto the poetry analysis in a minute. So you can imagine there that the cow, the sky is that similar sort of colour as a cow. And then he goes on to talk about the rose moles. And you know, the trout has those, my fishes are slightly better, not much. Trout have those kind of pink spots on their back. And that's I think what he's talking about, the rose moles. So yeah, these rose moles stipple upon the strout and I'm having problems with my pen here. I apologise. They stipple like that, don't they? Just ignore that for now. It won't go anywhere. Looks like it's about to swim. And then fresh fire cold chestnut falls, and the falling chestnuts on the ground, they look a little bit dappled. Finch's wings, again, Finch's wings, landscape plotted and pieced. There's this suggestion here he's moving away from just the natural world, I think, into the human interaction. It's not just nature itself that creates this dappled effect, this pied effect, but it's also what we do to the land. And you know, when you look down from an aeroplane, not that Manley Hopkins would have done this because there were no aeroplanes when he was around, but you know, you get that sort of that dappled effect of farmers' fields, where you've got the different types of fields and you've got the different hedges and what have you. And it's as if it's not just the natural world in animals and birds and what have you, it's also what we do to the land as well. And the way in which we plot and we piece the land, and we make the land dappled, we make the land various in colour and various in shade. So that first section, we can kind of break it here into two sections, section 1, section 2, because then what he does is he takes these things that he's praising, glorying God for, and then he goes a little bit further. All things counter, original, spare, strange. This is a good word for Manley Hopkins. He's interested in the strange. He's interested in the things that interest him, that make him curious. I apologise if you can read my awful writing, particularly with this pen. The world itself is a strange and wonderful place that he's trying to make sense of with his poetry. And then whatever is freckled or fickled, I love this, who knows how, he says. And it's as if he's saying he doesn't understand. He's only human. Okay, he's only a human being. He doesn't understand how rose moles get onto a trout, or the sky's different colours. He doesn't understand any of this, or Finch's wings have that dappled effect. So I love the way he puts in brackets. You know, it's as if he's kind of. It's as if he's a. I get the sense with this poem that it's as if he's kind of. I can almost imagine him on a pulpit, you know, as a priest, and he's giving this sermon. And then he just pauses and he kind of looks at his congregation and he says, "I don't get it. I don't really understand how. I don't understand how all these things happen, but they're just there and they're wonderful and they're amazing. And I thank God for all of these things that are in the world." Then we've got this lovely line here with swift, slow, sweet, sour, dazzle, dim. Look at that lovely sibilant, swift, so sweet, sour, dazzle. All of this, what we call sibilance, or a repetition of the S sounds. Okay, so sibilance, it's a type of alliteration, but it's alliteration on the letter S. Swift, slow, sweet, sour, and it's that kind of building up of a tone, of a real feeling of tone. I'm not quite sure, again, like a lot of his poetry here, it's not like you can be 100% sure why he decided on the S sound, but it's just this building up of sound which links in so much into his poem. Plotted, pieced, fold, fallow. You can see how often couple colour as a brinded cow. You can see so often he's using alliteration, maybe not necessarily to have a particular emotional effect, just to kind of build up a sense of sound in the poem. I think he does it so well. And look at these opposites here, swift and slow, sweet and sour, a dazzle and dim. It's definitely not happy, is it? Quite sure why it's doing that. All of these opposites here, all these binary oppositions, swift and slow, sweet and sour, a dazzle and dim. It's really interesting the way in which he builds these oppositions up as if it's the whole world which is full of this beauty, and it's a whole world which is full of this pied beauty. Whatever, all of this stuff, whatever is fickle, freckled, whatever is this and that and this and that and the other, He fathers forth whose beauty is past change. The he, of course, is God. Fathers forth, he gives birth to. Sorry, I'm really running out of space here. I should have written smaller, shouldn't I? Gives birth to, and it's his beauty is past change. Okay, his beauty is past change, and the reason it's past change is because it's eternal. Okay, that his beauty is eternal. That all of this stuff is not eternal. This is all temporal. This is all time bound. This is all bound in time and place, but God isn't. And so he ends the poem with that wonderful line, praise him. Now, let me just call up a little notepad here, just to jot a few notes down. Give me a sec. Let's give a new one of those. New one of those. There we are. So if I just, there we are. So if I just kind of make a quick note here while we're looking at this poem, let's just get rid of that as well, because there are a few things that are worth picking up on. The first thing to talk about is the metre of the poem. And it's called sprung rhythm, and this is a term which Manley Hopkins developed, or he based much of his poetry on, and it's as if the beginning of the line is sprung by having a stress on the first line, on the first syllable. And if you look here, you can actually see that. Glory be to God for skies of coupled colour, for rose mows, fresh fire coal, landscape. Can you hear that? And all trades, all things count, whatever is fickle, with swift, slow speed, he fathers forth. So that those initial syllables there are sprung, and it's as if we're springing into the poem itself, and it gives us this wonderful energy to the poem. And that's why he does it. He does it to give the poem that real sense of urgency. As if he's, as I said, it's for me. It feels like he's preaching, and he's eulogizing. That's a good word. Look it up. It just means a song of praise. A eulogy is a song or speech of praise for a thing, and this is exactly what it is. It's a eulogy. So it's this sprung rhythm that he's using here. The other thing to talk about, if we go into the A and the A star zone, which I always like to do. What happened there? Press escape. There we are. The A star and A zone. A couple of terms that I'd like to introduce you to, and they are in stress, and they are in scape. And these are two terms which Gerald Manley Hopkins used, adapted or used as the foundations. They're philosophical terms, and they're very much part of the mid 19th century. And I'll explain them if I can. It's quite hard, but I'll try and explain them. Okay, inscape. It's the unique essence of an object or a thing in the world. It's the thing that makes it what it is. It's the cowness of a cow or the fishness of a fish. It's that thing which makes it unique, which makes it a gift from God, if you like. And in stress is the poet's ability to release that thing, to release that uniqueness. You can look at these on Wikipedia actually. Both in stress and inscape are way better explained by Wikipedia than me, but that's really what they are roughly. So in stress is inscape is this unique sort of the thingness of the thing which makes it what it is, and in stress is the ability for the poet to kind of unlock it, to release it through the writing process. And if you like, that's what Gerald Manley Hopkins is trying to do here. He's trying to release the dappledness, the piedness of pied things. He's trying to release through his language, through these terms that he uses, these new words he makes up. He's trying to release all of this beauty and uniqueness in the world. It's a hard poem to analyse, mainly because actually it is so unique. I've always loved Manley Hopkins' poetry. There's just something really slightly mental about it, and I hope you do too.